She was young, bright, beautiful, and in the small town of Ocilla, Georgia, everyone knew her name. Tara Grinstead wasn't just another teacher at Irwin County High School. She was a mentor, a friend, a role model, the kind of person people gravitated toward, the kind of woman who left an impression long after she had walked away. She carried herself with confidence, always poised, always polished. Students admired her, colleagues respected her, and in pageants, she moved across the stage with effortless grace, the sparkle of a crown never too far from her reach. To those around her, life seemed to be unfolding exactly as it should. She had worked hard, earned her degrees, built a career, won titles. She had dreams, aspirations, things she spoke about, things she kept to herself. In Ocilla, she had found her place, or so it seemed. But one Sunday in October 2005, everything changed. The lights in her house still glowed through the windows. Her car sat outside, parked where it always was. The front door was locked. Nothing appeared out of place. And yet, Tara was gone. No one knew it then, but this was the beginning of something that would stretch on for years, a case that would rattle a small town to its core. A mystery with questions that refused to be answered. This is the story of Tara Grinstead. Small towns have a rhythm of their own. Life moves a little slower. People know their neighbors. Strangers are rare. And when something changes, when someone disappears, it doesn't go unnoticed. Tara Grinstead was a part of that rhythm. A beloved high school teacher, a former beauty queen, a woman with a bright future ahead of her. She had spent years shaping young minds, guiding students, and earning admiration from nearly everyone who knew her. She was intelligent, accomplished, and full of life. But on one crisp October morning in 2005, Ocilla woke up to something it had never seen before. A mystery that would linger for more than a decade. Tara was gone, and no one had answers. Born on November 14, 1974, in Hawkinsville, Georgia, Tara was a small-town girl with big dreams. She had always been ambitious. Education was important to her, and she excelled in school. After graduating from Middle Georgia College, she went on to earn her master's degree in education from Valdosta State University. By her early 30s, she had built a life she could be proud of. She wasn't just a teacher at Irwin County High School. She was one of the most well-loved educators in the building. She cared about her students, and they knew it. She pushed them to do better, to be better. But Tara's life wasn't just about academics. She had another passion, pageantry. In 1999, she was crowned Miss Tifton, a title she carried with pride. She competed in the Miss Georgia pageant, her poise and elegance making her a standout contender. She was used to being in the spotlight, used to holding herself with grace and confidence. She had a wide circle of friends, colleagues who respected her, and students who admired her. She had built a life filled with meaning, surrounded by people who cared about her. And yet, something was about to happen, something that would turn her name into a question whispered in every household across Georgia, a question that would remain unanswered for years. Saturday, October 22nd, 2005. It started like any other weekend for Tara. She had plans, obligations, routines, things that didn't raise suspicion. That afternoon, she attended a beauty pageant, something she had done countless times before. She wasn't there to compete. She was a mentor now, guiding the next generation of contestants and helping them prepare for their moment in the spotlight. Pageantry had been a defining part of her life, and she was eager to give back and share what she had learned. Everything seemed normal. Later that evening, she made her way to a friend's house for a barbecue. A casual gathering, familiar faces, laughter, the scent of grilled food hanging in the air. She stayed for a few hours, chatted with friends, and enjoyed the night. And then she left. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. What happened next remains one of Georgia's most haunting mysteries. Tara drove home, or at least, that's what the evidence suggests. Her car was found in its usual spot, parked neatly outside her house. Her front door was locked. The lights inside glowed through the windows. But something was missing. Tara herself. And the questions were only beginning. Monday, October 24th, 2005, the start of a new school week. Students arrived for class, expecting to see their history teacher, expecting to hear her voice as she prepared them for the day's lesson. But Tara wasn't there. At first, it didn't seem like much. Maybe she was running late. Maybe she was sick. Teachers miss work from time to time. But as the hours passed, and there was still no sign of her, the concern grew. She wasn't answering her phone. She hadn't called in sick. She hadn't contacted anyone. By the afternoon, her colleagues couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. This wasn't like her. The principal made the decision to contact local authorities. They would go to Tara's house to check on her, to ease everyone's fears. Maybe there was a simple explanation. However, when officers arrived, the sight that greeted them only raised more questions. Her car was parked in its usual spot. The house was locked. Everything looked normal, until they looked closer. They entered the house, moving carefully, scanning for anything out of place. Her purse was gone. Her keys were missing. And yet, there were no signs of forced entry, no broken windows, no overturned furniture. Everything was in its place. Everything, except Tara. The disappearance of Tara Grinstead prompted immediate action from local law enforcement. Recognizing the potential severity of the situation, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, was swiftly called in to assist. Their involvement underscored the gravity of the case and the urgency felt by the community. In the days following Tara's disappearance, extensive searches were organized in and around Ocilla. Volunteers, law enforcement officers, and search and rescue teams combed through forests, fields, and waterways, leaving no stone unturned. Despite their exhaustive efforts, no significant leads or evidence found could shed light on her whereabouts. How does a person vanish without a trace in a town where everyone knows each other? The tight-knit community of Ocilla rallied together in the wake of Tara's disappearance. Candlelight vigils were held, and locals organized search parties, demonstrating their solidarity and hope for her safe return. The collective efforts of the community highlighted the profound impact Tara had on those around her. The case quickly garnered media attention, with local and national news outlets covering the story extensively. This widespread coverage helped raise awareness and kept Tara's disappearance in the public eye, generating numerous tips and leads for investigators to follow. Investigators began by scrutinizing Tara's personal life, interviewing friends, family members, colleagues, and former students. They sought to uncover any information that might explain her sudden disappearance, considering both personal and professional relationships as potential avenues of inquiry. As the investigation progressed without significant breakthroughs, some speculated about possible connections between Tara's disappearance and other unsolved cases in the region. These theories, while unproven, highlighted the community's desperation for answers and the complexities involved in missing persons investigations. In the weeks following Tara's disappearance, investigators exhausted their primary leads. Interviews with friends, family, colleagues, and acquaintances yielded no conclusive answers. Could vital evidence have been overlooked, or was this case destined to go cold from the start? With no signs of forced entry, struggle, or ransom demands, authorities had little forensic evidence to build a case. As time passed, the community, once hopeful for swift justice, began to feel the weight of uncertainty. Rumors spread, but no substantial breakthroughs emerged. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, remained committed, but as months turned into years, their progress slowed. In 2008, 48 Hours Mystery aired an episode about Tara's disappearance, drawing comparisons to other unsolved cases. The coverage reignited public interest but failed to uncover new evidence. With no concrete answers, true crime enthusiasts, journalists, and amateur detectives began theorizing. Was this the act of someone close to her? A random crime? An abduction? Investigators made public appeals, urging anyone with knowledge to come forward. But without new information, the case remained at a standstill. Ocilla, once a quiet town where everyone knew each other, was now marked by fear and unanswered questions. Support networks were formed for Tara's family, and awareness campaigns for missing persons became a priority in the town. Tara's loved ones continued to search for answers, refusing to let her memory fade. But the weight of time made hope harder to hold on to. If you find this case as unsettling as we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're uncovering the most mysterious true crime cases, and you won't want to miss what comes next. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think really happened to Tara Grinstead? The case, once a dominant headline, began to fade from the public eye. But beneath the surface, the search for Tara was far from over. By 2016, Tara Grinstead's case had remained unresolved for over a decade. Leads had dried up, and many believed the truth would never surface. But one spark was enough to reignite national interest. Payne Lindsay, a documentary filmmaker with a curiosity for cold cases, launched Up and Vanished. The investigative podcast dissected Tara's disappearance, re-examining evidence and questioning key figures. The podcast's explosive popularity put pressure on law enforcement, re-engaging the public and uncovering long-buried secrets. It reached people who had stayed silent for years, some of whom knew more than they had ever admitted. What happens when a secret is kept for too long? Does the weight of silence ever become unbearable? In February 2017, authorities announced the arrest of Ryan Alexander Duke, a former student at Irwin County High School. He had confessed to Tara's murder. Ryan Duke had never been a primary suspect. His name hadn't been at the forefront of the investigation, yet he claimed responsibility for ending Tara's life. Just weeks later, Bo Dukes, no relation to Ryan, was also taken into custody. His charges: helping cover up the crime. If the case had gone unnoticed, would these confessions ever have surfaced? He told investigators that he had broken into Tara's home intending to rob it, but was caught in the act. In a moment of panic, he claimed he killed her. Ryan wasn't alone. After the murder, he allegedly turned to Bo for help. Together, they transported Tara's body to a pecan orchard in Ben Hill County, where they burned her remains. The gruesome nature of the confession stunned everyone. For years, people had searched for Tara, not knowing she had been hidden in plain sight, just miles from where she vanished. This case took years to unfold, and many believe there's still more to the story. What do you think? Was this a crime of opportunity, or is there more we're not being told? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into cases like this, subscribe now and turn on notifications. The truth had finally come to light, or so it seemed. But was this really the full story? For over a decade, Tara Grinstead's case remained shrouded in mystery. The confessions of Ryan Duke and Bo Dukes in 2017 seemed to bring long-awaited answers, but the legal process would prove to be anything but straightforward. Instead of a swift resolution, the trials would take years, filled with unexpected twists, recanted statements, and legal loopholes that shocked the public. In May 2022, the long-anticipated trial of Ryan Alexander Duke began. Initially, his confession had seemed airtight. He admitted to killing Tara, describing details only the perpetrator would know. But when the moment came for him to face the justice system, everything changed. On the witness stand, Ryan Duke took back everything he had confessed to 5 years earlier. He claimed he had never harmed Tara. Instead, he pointed the finger at his former friend, Bo Dukes. Duke testified that Bo was the real killer. He alleged that Bo had confessed to him privately, admitting to killing Tara and later enlisting his help to cover it up. His defense team argued that his original confession in 2017 had been coerced. They portrayed him as an emotionally fragile individual, manipulated into taking responsibility for a crime he didn't commit. Despite years of believing Ryan Duke was Tara's killer, the jury found him not guilty of murder. However, they didn't absolve him completely. The jury convicted him of concealing Tara's body, sentencing him to 10 years in prison. The verdict left many stunned. How could someone confess in detail to a crime, then walk free on the most serious charges? If Ryan Duke wasn't the killer, why did he confess in the first place? Was his original statement a lie, or was the truth buried somewhere in between? While Ryan Duke walked away from a murder conviction, Bo Dukes faced a far harsher fate. Bo Dukes was charged with concealing Tara's death and lying to investigators. Unlike Ryan, Bo had never been accused of the actual murder, but his role in covering up the crime was undeniable. Because of legal constraints, Bo wasn't tried for murder. Instead, he faced prosecution for helping dispose of Tara's body and misleading authorities. A jury found him guilty, and the judge sentenced him to 25 years in prison. Bo Duke's troubles didn't end with Tara's case. He was later charged in a separate case for sexually assaulting 2 women in 2019. Investigators noted his history of lying, manipulation, and criminal behavior, raising even more questions about his involvement in Tara's death. Justice can take years, and in some cases, the truth is never fully revealed. What do you believe? Did Ryan Duke tell the truth in his second statement, or was he covering for something even bigger? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth crime investigations. For nearly 2 decades, the case of Tara Grinstead has haunted the town of Ocilla and captivated true crime enthusiasts worldwide. While arrests were made and sentences handed down, the case still carries lingering uncertainties. The justice system provided legal conclusions, but the truth remains tangled in conflicting testimonies, recanted confessions, and unanswered questions that may never find resolution. Even after years of investigation, trials, and convictions, the full truth about what happened to Tara Grinstead remains elusive. Ryan Duke initially claimed that he broke into Tara's home intending to rob it, but was caught in the act, leading him to kill her in panic. Yet there was no evidence of forced entry, no stolen belongings, and no clear indication of a struggle. Some investigators and members of the public believe that the crime was not random at all. Tara's past relationships, acquaintances, and personal life were deeply scrutinized, but no conclusive link was established. If Ryan Duke was telling the truth in his second statement, that Bo Dukes was the real killer, then why would Bo need Ryan's help to dispose of the body? Was there something even bigger being covered up? He confessed in 2017, then retracted everything in 2022, blaming Bo Dukes. Which version is the truth? Bo was convicted of concealing the body, but never faced a murder charge. Did he know more than he let on? Was he protecting himself or someone else? There were rumors that others in Ocilla had knowledge of the crime, but remained silent out of fear or loyalty. Was there a deeper conspiracy? How did Tara really die? Ryan said he strangled her, but no physical evidence remained to confirm this. With Tara's remains destroyed, a full forensic examination was never possible. Without a body, could investigators ever be certain about what really happened? For the small town of Ocilla, Georgia, Tara Grinstead's disappearance was more than just a crime. It was an event that left scars on an entire generation of residents. Before Tara vanished, Ocilla was a close-knit town where people left their doors unlocked and trusted their neighbors. After the case, that trust was shattered. Residents became more cautious, more suspicious, and more fearful. For years, rumors circulated. Who knew more than they were saying? Was the killer still walking among them? The failures in Tara's case highlighted the need for better handling of missing person investigations. Local and state law enforcement agencies introduced new training protocols for handling similar cases. Advances in forensic technology, especially digital evidence and DNA analysis, were accelerated by cases like Tara's. Tara's friends, students, and family members lived in uncertainty for over a decade, enduring false hopes and dead ends. Some left Ocilla, unable to cope with the pain. Others stayed, determined to see justice through to the end. Her students, many of whom are now adults, still speak of her with admiration, remembering the vibrant teacher who changed their lives. Cases like Tara's don't just affect the victims, they impact entire communities. How do you think towns should support families of missing persons? Share your thoughts in the comments. Tara's case became one of the most widely discussed missing person cases in American history, largely due to the power of media and public involvement. 2016. Up and Vanished. Podcast. The case gained new life when filmmaker Payne Lindsay launched his investigative podcast, Up and Vanished. Tara's story was featured on 48 Hours Mystery, Dateline NBC, and numerous YouTube documentaries. The rise of internet sleuths and amateur detectives played a role in keeping pressure on the case. Tara's case highlighted the flaws in handling missing person investigations, leading to policy changes across law enforcement agencies. It also led to the establishment of support groups and online communities for families of missing persons. Despite all the media coverage, it's important to remember who Tara was beyond her disappearance. She was a passionate educator, a mentor to young women in pageantry, and a beloved friend and daughter. Her memory lives on in the lives she touched, and in the way her case forever changed the way missing persons investigations are handled. The case of Tara Grinstead is a tragic example of how justice is not always clear-cut. Do you think the truth was fully revealed, or is there more that will never be known? Justice was served, or at least that's what the legal system determined. But was it really? 2 men were convicted, yet questions remain unanswered. Motives remain unclear. Confessions were taken back, and the one person who could tell the full story is no longer here to speak for herself. The truth may be buried deeper than we think. If someone you loved disappeared, would you trust the first confession that came out years later? Would you accept a verdict that left more questions than answers? Or would you keep searching, even when the world told you to move on? In cases like these, is closure real, or just something we tell ourselves to feel better? Let's talk. Do you think we've been given the full truth, or is there something we're still missing? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you found this case compelling, make sure to like, comment, share this story, and subscribe for more real cases that deserve to be heard. Your voice keeps these stories alive.